And welcome back to a new episode of the Yeah, No, Yeah podcast. My name is Noah. I'm your host. And with me right here is Justin. How you doing, Justin?
Hello. I'm good. How are you, man?
It's
been a while.
I'm great. It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks. We had some holidays to get through. We had some family time to get through, but we're back.
We're back and better than ever.
Better than ever. We still got college football to talk about. That's the good thing. That's what we're going to get into first. We're going to get into some NBA in-season tournament stuff. The semifinals are tonight. Finals are this weekend. We got to talk about the NFL. There's been a lot of quarterback injuries. So who's going to be our MVP picks? And we got some final thoughts for you at the end, too. So let's get into it. We got to talk about college football first. The rankings came out. The playoff is set. We got Michigan number 1, Washington number 2, Texas number 3, and Bama at number 4. Roll Tide gets in again.
Don't bet against them.
A little bit of controversy this year. A lot of teams felt like they got snubbed. Florida State, Georgia, both felt like they deserved to get in. And that's what we got to get to, right? Did they get it wrong? Or was this the 4 that should have made it?
Real quick, I just want to let the listeners know, going back into the vault of this podcast, Noah's picks for the top 4 was Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Florida State, in that order. Mine was Michigan, Georgia, Texas, Alabama. Almost spot on. We both had Georgia in there, and Georgia, like you said, there is a controversy. Georgia thinks they should be in, right? Maybe above Alabama. I don't know. I mean, Alabama beat them, but still, a whole mess of things right there. Did they get it wrong? I don't believe so. The only question was, should Florida State go in being an undefeated team? I am under the assumption, right? We've talked about this before, of the committee is kind of weird. If we're using the committee rules, right? People are going to vote for who they want. Looking at these two teams, Alabama's a better team. I don't believe that anyone 100 times out of 100 times would pick Florida State over Alabama, especially with Travis hurt. I forgot.
Yeah,
what's
Jordan
his first
Travis.
name? Yeah, Jordan Travis. Especially with Jordan Travis hurt. I know that's kind of a cop-out way of doing it, and people are like, well, let them play. That's why we play the game. They're undefeated, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But he's your starting quarterback, and let's not forget last year, Georgia put a spanking on TCU, and no one watched that game. No one cared about that game. It was just a waste of time. So I don't think they want a repeat of that, and they know that Alabama can keep up with Michigan in that semifinal game, and I don't think Florida State would be able to keep up with them.
So that's where we get into it with TCU last year. TCU beat Michigan last year.
Yeah.
Once they got there, they proved that they belonged. Yes, they were riding a lot of momentum, and Georgia shut that down pretty quick. In the championship game. I think a lot of things went wrong in that first quarter, and after that, it was
all downhill.
Yeah. So that's what we got to get into, right? Is by the committee's rules and by the expectations that they set. Yes, they did get it right, but
the rules are dumb.
And the thing is, they haven't followed these rules in the past, which is the controversy that has been this whole week of, did Florida State get snubbed? We can talk about Georgia. We can talk about Alabama. Florida State went undefeated.
Yeah. That's the toughest thing about it. That's really it.
Yeah, and that's it. If Florida State lost a game, they absolutely wouldn't have felt as snubbed as they do now. They did everything that the committee asked them to do. They won every game. Even after Jordan Travis got hurt, They still went into the swamp and beat their rival Florida. Yeah. They still went into the ACC championship game and beat a ranked Louisville team.
That's true.
Not because of their offense, but because their defense was elite. And Jordan Travis said it best that if he got injured earlier in the season and they still went undefeated, Florida State would probably be in right now.
I
But
agree.
they just based everything off of his injury, and that's what's disappointing for them.
Yeah, I truly think it comes down to they don't want a disappointing semifinal game, which is it's just tough. And
TV ratings.
I saw someone make the point of, wow, they're putting so much emphasis on Jordan Travis, he should win Heisman. It's like, I mean, if he's that valuable that they don't make the playoffs because of him, he might be the MVP and the Heisman.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing, right? Is we can all laugh about that right now, but that's kind of how the committee views this.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, and it's ridiculous to think about because yes, he's a very good quarterback, but he is not the reason
they won every game.
Yeah,
they do have a great defense.
It was a team effort, and they did so well during the season. They had a couple of hiccup games, but who didn't? I mean, Michigan had the Maryland scare. Alabama had USF, University of South Florida.
It's true.
That was a pitiful game to watch.
Yeah.
All of these teams had scary moments. Washington against Arizona State. It was never a clean season for everyone. And they just base everything off of this injury. And that's the problem.
Yeah. But here's my question. And we kind of saw the reaction from Michigan when they were watching the committee party. Would you rather play Alabama or FSU? And if
you'd rather play Florida State.
If that's the answer, then Alabama should be in, right?
And that's the problem. Is I think even with Jordan Travis, I think Michigan would still rather play Florida State. But the problem is that Bama didn't look good throughout the season. They just had such a hot streak at the end. I think that's what put them over the top. Winning that game against Georgia put them over the top. I mean, let's even go back the week prior. They had to win it on a Hail Mary at the end of the game in the back of the end zone, and it was one blown coverage from this not even being a conversation.
You're right. I mean, yeah, it's just there's so many small decisions, and that's why the committee sucks. This is why it's a dumb system. They should go based off of the same way pros do it. Record, and then a divisional record, and then points for or something. I don't know. There's so many other ways that you could do this. But instead, they get a group of guys to cut together and say, oh, who's the best team? And I get it. It limits instances like last year where you get TCU playing Georgia and getting a butt kick. I get that, but you also get this controversy, which is good for ratings, good for the organization to get people talking, but it also takes away the credibility. So I don't know. I've said it since day one. Having a group of guys just pick who you think's best isn't the way to do it, even though it might be right more than it's wrong.
And probably the most frustrating part for Florida State is nobody's going to remember it like this.
Oh yeah,
especially with it going to a 12-team playoff next year. Yeah. Like the committee can just sit back and just be, perfectly fine with this decision. They're going to have a good playoff. Everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to watch it. It's not going to be a problem. And Florida State just kind of gets snubbed.
Yeah. And the last point kind of wrap this up. I saw someone say the committee has the full power to put 6 teams in the playoff if they wanted to this season.
Absolutely.
Like there's no reason that they can't expand the playoffs this season. The only reasoning would be logistics, but just do it. So many people are upset about this. Just make it happen, and you get an extra game of football, and everyone would be happy.
I saw JJ Watt tweet that's what they should have done even before the committee picked. He goes, make an extra week, have Michigan and Washington get a bye.
Yep.
And have the other 4 teams play for their spot. Just randomly select who plays who, go the week earlier, and there's your playoff.
I think that should have been the way they did it. Yeah,
that would have been thrilling.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day they did get it right. It's just a dumb way that it happened, and rightfully so that Florida State fans are upset.
I agree. So let's talk about something more positive, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about the Heisman. All right. We had before the season. I had Quinn Ewers, the guy from Texas. I thought, with them making the playoff, he had to be the reason, and he was going to win the Heisman because of it. I got 1 or 2 right. Yeah. I got to make it the playoffs, but it wasn't because of Quinn Ewers. He still had a good season. He's coming back next year. I'm just a year off because he's going to win it next year.
You're funny.
And you had Jane Daniels, who as of right
McDaniels,
now,
right? Is it McDaniels?
Nope, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I don't know why I put
Yeah,
McDaniels in my notes.
LSU quarterback.
Yes.
Really stat padded at the end of the season, but who doesn't?
Yeah, that's
you do
fine.
what you got to do. But I think right now he's the Heisman favorite.
Yeah.
And I think really the only one who's competing with him now is Michael Penix.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you could put Marvin Harrison and Bo Nix in there, but I mean, let's be realistic. Yeah. It's those two guys at the top.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels has the stats to prove it. I think he's going to win it.
Yeah, I think he's going to win it too. I'm kind of shocked I got that right. But we're going to roll with it. And you're right. Michael Penix is the only one close enough. And I don't know if it's like professional sports where they factor in playoff appearance and how he plays in the playoffs. I don't think they do.
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to, but if he balls out, that's going to help him.
You're right. You're not wrong.
So that could be a huge effect. Who knows?
Oh yeah. It's going to be interesting. I think it's Jane Daniels though. I think he's got it. And what a call out from you before the season started.
I said it was going to be if they made playoffs that he would get it, but I guess he
one of two.
He did do a lot of stat padding, so that gets him in. That's fine. They're not going to make playoffs, but he gets a Heisman. That's good for the organization.
Hey, but guess what? You see those touchdowns at the end of the season, you're not like, oh yeah,
you're not passing.
He got 8 against Ole Miss.
That's fair.
Yeah, you gotta love it. So let's preview these. Let's preview these games.
All right.
So Michigan, Bama, right?
That's tough.
You got. Yeah, I don't think you could have picked a worse draw for Michigan. I honestly think that Michigan would rather play the other two teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they didn't want to see Bama on that number 4 spot. But you get who you get, and you got to play the game.
I do. I still think Michigan's the better team. I think Michigan's the best team. I think they got that 1,000% right that they're the number 1 team. They have the most complete offense. Their defense is top 3. When they're at their best, they're firing on all cylinders. And at their worst, they're staying competitive.
Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite right now. I think they opened at 2.
Okay.
So it's sliding down towards a pick'em game. I think when it's all said and done, before the game starts, it will be a pick'em game.
All right, that's fair. I mean, you give Nick Saban time to prepare. He's gonna get his team fighting. Yeah. So it's gonna be a coin flip, but I think Michigan's gonna come out ahead.
I think a lot of people were underwhelmed with Michigan against Iowa. Iowa had a very good defense. They couldn't score. No, I don't think they were Michigan was never in real danger of being scored on. No. I don't think they had a 1st and goal. So Michigan got what they needed to get done. Yeah. And I think they have a lot of offensive weapons that are a little banged up. Their offensive line's a little banged up. Give them time to heal, prepare. I think we got a really good game here. And I think this will be the game that Michigan needs to win in order to win the national championship.
Yeah,
I think if you go to that national championship game, even if it's Washington or Texas, I think that's the easier opponent. This is the game they need to get through.
Yeah, I fully agree. And so, out of Washington, Texas, who do you think's going to the game?
I think Texas is going.
I agree.
I think their defensive line and offensive line are both better than Washington's.
Yeah, they're in the trenches.
And they will win it in the trenches. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Probably Washington's skill players are better. I'm okay with saying that, but that's not what's going to win this game, right? You got to have some guys up front blocking and protecting the quarterback, which, Michael Penix can move, but at the end of the day, if you can't get to Quinn Ewers, there's not going to be that pressure, and they're not going to feel rushed. And I think Texas is going to pull away with it.
Absolutely. Washington felt the most comfortable when Penix could stand in the pocket and throw the ball. I give him loads of credit. He's probably going to be a late first round pick. The guy, when he's in the pocket, he can deliver a beautiful pass. But when he has to scramble and get outside the pocket,
it's kind of rough.
He tends to throw some interceptions. I think Texas is going to get to him.
All right. So whoever wins out of that. So Texas, I'm saying Michigan. I think Michigan wins.
I'll go Michigan too.
Let's go.
I think we're both having Michigan as the national championship then.
Yeah. I think it's the way. It's the way of the road. After this whole crazy season, they're gonna prove that they can still win without even looking at signs, and they're gonna make a big deal about it. Everyone's gonna hate them, but that's fine.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it if you're a Michigan fan.
Yes.
And I think it would really propel everyone as a Michigan fan in the right direction. You feel better about your program. You got that win, even if Harbaugh leaves. You get that win, and it's just in your heart, right? Feels good. All right. Let's move on to some NBA in-season tournament talk.
Ooh.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't really start caring about this until quarterfinals. Didn't really realize that they were in the quarterfinals until they were in it. But there are some thrilling games on.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think there's more motivation here? Or do you think it's just this is just how the games were going to go regardless?
I think for the players, 1,000%, right?
Okay.
The motivation, as terrible as it is the money, right? You have players on the bench who are about to win $500,000. That's huge for them. That's a big deal for them. And I think with the controversial Lakers timeout call in the last game, and then the Pacers kind of rise into the mainstream with Halliburton kind of getting his flowers now, upsetting the Celtics. What a crazy game!
Great game.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for the players, right? You have to win by a lot of points because point differential really matters. It's just a very exciting time, and it brings a spark of life to the beginning mid-season that has not existed since I can remember. I don't know if it's ever existed. So to the fans, I don't know if it's as big of a deal, like you said. Like no one's really paid attention until quarterfinals, and now the semifinals. Like it hasn't been that big. For the diehard fans, I think it's huge. I think they're excited about it. Seeing the players get excited kind of brings that fire too. The casual players that only tune in every now and then, not a huge deal, but it's still a positive for the league, right? It's only going to improve next season. You'll have, reigning champs of the in-season tournament, and there'll be another storyline there. So I think overall this was a great move by the NBA.
Do you think I'm curious to see what the TV ratings are and the TV numbers. I just checked. Because I actually didn't know this until right now, that it's ESPN's taking this first game with the Pacers and Bucks, and then Pelicans Lakers is on TNT/True TV.
Okay.
So they're splitting, viewpoints here. Neither one of them's on primetime until Saturday when it's on ABC.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to be very curious to see what the numbers are and if they drastically improved because of the in-season tournament, hype.
I would imagine they would, right? Compared to a normal regular season game, I have to imagine it's at least a little bit of a bump.
I also think it matters a lot how they market this, because I think this first season is like this trial pilot period, right?
True. Yep.
They didn't market it as much as I think they probably should have, because there was a lot of people, and players included, that didn't really understand the structure and didn't really understand when the games were being played.
Yep.
Anthony Edwards being the hot topic there, not understanding it at all. It's very interesting just how fast it happened too. And honestly, I think they've done a great job of managing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to see what the numbers are on Saturday.
Yeah, I wish... Because I know that, once in a week or whatever, on any given night, I think it was every Wednesday or every Tuesday? I don't even know.
Yeah.
They would all be playing a game, right? And you're right. It felt like it just kind of came and went real fast, and now it's kind of a big deal now that's out of the group play, basically. Yeah, they need to. I think they need to change the name. It can't be called the in-season tournament. That just sounds weird. It doesn't have a nice ring to it, and I think the games should be closer together. It shouldn't be once a week. It should be schedule the games back to back to back until you get to that outside of the pool, the whatever I'm talking about, the pool play into
Right.
the actual tournament style. Get all those like out of the way within a week or two. And then those teams can then play whoever loses. I guess it's tough though because you don't know who's going to win. Logistically, that might be a nightmare. But for the viewers and for marketing reasons and like building the hype, I think that would be the best way to do it.
The only way I distinguished the difference was the
Was the
court.
court. Yeah, 100%.
Can we please talk about that for a minute? So
I don't mind the courts. People were hating on them. I don't mind them.
It was too much. I think honestly, just little changes would have been fine. It was.
You wouldn't have noticed that.
I think I still would have. Not the bright red Chicago Bulls court that
I
is
don't
so
mind
distracting.
I don't mind it. I think it's cool.
They were bright.
They are bright. They are very in your face. I agree. Maybe tone it down a little bit, but still having that big. Like you said, you look at the court and like, oh, this is an in-season tournament game. Like right away, you know it.
It's so funny though, because like just watching highlights of games and looking
Yeah.
at like stats and stuff like that, you just see the bright courts and you're like, oh, yep, that in-season tournament game.
I know a lot of people were hating on them, but I enjoyed it. I thought they were cool.
So who do you think's gonna win?
Well, for viewers at home right now, we are currently 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the Pacers-Bucks game, and the Pacers are up by 3. I think the Pacers are going to pull it off just because of the hype, and they have to make it to the finals, right? And then for the other game tomorrow, it's Pelicans-Lakers. I think the Lakers will win because of their controversial call last night. It kind of showed that the NBA wants the Lakers to win. And then after that, I think the Pacers are going to pull it off. I think the Pacers are going to win it all.
Cinderella story.
Yeah.
With the lowest salary cap of the entire NBA.
That'd be do justice for that team, honestly.
You talk about marketing.
Like they get their
That's
money, Robin Hood.
right there.
Yeah. Halliburton's new nickname will be Robin Hood.
Yep, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. I'm very excited. I honestly think Pelicans will beat Lakers tonight, and Pelicans win the whole thing.
Wow. Okay. All right. Either way, the Lakers aren't winning.
That Brandon Ingram difference.
Okay.
Making a point this year.
I like Brandon Ingram. I think he's a good player. So I'm not mad at that. As long as the Lakers don't win, because I thought that call was that was tough. That was really tough. But anyway, we won't harp on that. I don't want to get fined.
All right, let's move on to some NFL news. So we got to talk about the quarterbacks this year. So I saw on Sunday that Brock Purdy, right now with Dak, are co-favorites for MVP. That is, the most ridiculous thing I've heard the entire season.
Yes.
But going back into it, I kind of understand why. There's so many quarterback injuries this season. Only 7 quarterbacks have played in all of their games so far.
Jesus. Do you know those 7?
Offhand, no. No, one of them's Dak, and I know one of them's Brock Purdy.
All right, that's fair. Okay.
Which is... Ironically, the leading here, we'll talk about that later. But that's truly amazing. I want to know, is this an outlier? Is this a sign of more things to come? Like, this is kind of scary for the NFL.
Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah. I don't know if it's just recency bias, but I feel like this is a huge injury season. But maybe it's like this every year. Maybe we're just thinking it's a lot because the storyline is that it's a lot. I don't know. But, Brock Purdy probably shouldn't be in a favorite to win Heisman. He's decent. He can get the job done, but he's nothing special. Dak, I can see, he's a front runner. When he's on, he's on. The Cowboys defense kind of steals that spotlight from him at moments, and he doesn't have the numbers as well as he maybe could. But again, it doesn't feel like they're winning because of him. And I've always thought of the MVP as when he's on the field, you guys are going to win. When he's off the field, you guys are going to lose. So in that sense, I don't think either of them should win. I'm sticking to my original pick of Lamar being the MVP.
He's up there. He's up there. I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, when he's off the field, I think the Ravens aren't going to win games. Just plain and simple. I think he deserves it. They have 5 games left, right? If they win 4 of the next 5, I think 2 of them against 49ers, maybe twice. I may be messing that up. I know they played 49ers once.
We're talking about Dak.
Ravens schedule.
Ravens. They have. I know they play the Steelers one more time. I think they play the Bengals one more time.
They play They play the Rams, the Jags, 49ers, Dolphins, Steelers.
Okay.
If they win 4 of the 5 of those, and Lamar plays decent to good in all of those, depending on how Dak and Brock do, I think he should be the front runner. So there's a caveat to all of this. I think MVP is going to go to a quarterback, but I really think Tyreek should get it if he continues on his pace.
He deserves it.
Let's be honest. His numbers are better than Randy Moss's best season, and Randy Moss has had some crazy seasons. But I don't think they're going to give it to a wide receiver.
No.
Which is sad.
This has become a quarterback award, and that's why they made the Offensive Player of the Year award, because they knew this was going to happen.
That's true.
Just because the quarterback is the most important player on the field, which is really unfortunate for the rest of the league. But I understand it. It just sucks for the players.
Yeah. You take Tyreek off that field, that team is a completely different team.
Absolutely.
That's
I
insane.
completely agree.
So who's your front runner? Is it Brock or Dak?
It's Dak right now.
That's fair. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, Dak is playing too well right now. He's riding a lot of momentum, and I think they're stat padding for him a little bit.
I agree.
They're kind of running away with some of these games, and they want him to build up that that clout for that.
Which that's fair. I'm cool with that. I do think when he plays to his ability, he's a top 3 quarterback. It's just the issue is half the time he doesn't, or half the time he's injured.
Exactly. I think Mike McCarthy was the perfect fit for him. And going into the season, we did not think that at all.
No, I still don't like Mike McCarthy as a coach. Hope he gets better. I think he just had appendix surgery, but
he did.
Yeah. Hopefully he's doing all right.
It's crazy though, because I thought they were crazy to get rid of Kellen Moore. And honestly, it was probably the perfect thing that they needed to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Mike McCarthy is a play caller. As a coach, he makes some questionable decisions, especially with timeouts. But as a play caller, he does a fantastic job, and I give him credit for it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. You got my approval, Mike.
Back to this quarterback thing.
Yeah, is it just recency bias, or is this a huge year for quarterbacks getting injured?
Is it bad offensive play, line play? Is it
maybe?
Is it hip tackles because they want to get rid of hip tackling now?
I don't know. That seems like such a cop out. I get that they did the science and all that stuff, but come on, it's football. We're protecting the quarterback so much already. We already have all the targeting, and you can't hit with the head, all this fun stuff. And now we're saying, you can't tackle them by wrapping around their hips and falling. That's basically how you tackle someone. What are we doing?
If you're chasing someone down from behind them,
how else would you tackle?
Unless you're jumping on their back, that is the way that you have to tackle them.
Yeah, or tangle up their ankles, but then they can just step out of it. If they're a good offensive player, they're stepping out of that tackle.
Yep. It's a tough scenario for the NFL because you're trying to protect your players, but I don't know, why not get the NFL Players Association involved with this decision? I know they have to approve everything anyway, but get them involved and say, hey, does this sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Before, telling all the reporters saying you're going to do this. And then
That's fair. That's very fair.
It's a crazy year. I'm excited to see who the NFL MVP is. Rest in peace to my Steelers playoff dreams.
I was going to say, who died?
They play tonight. They need to win tonight. They need to keep that Mike Tomlin streak alive.
Yes.
But yes, it's not
looking great.
I'm confident that they're making playoffs.
No.
All right. You want to move on to final thoughts?
Let's do it.
All right. I'll go first.
All right.
So we had a big trade in the Major League Baseball Association. Juan Soto to the Yankees. This is the most predictable Yankees trade I think I've seen.
1,000%.
A player who is coming off his worst season The Yankees thinking that they can change it around by getting him to New York. There's no difference between when they acquired Mark Teixeira, when they acquired Jacoby Ellsbury, when they acquired all of these different players. Giancarlo Stanton, same thing. It's a recipe for a disaster. They're spending a ton of money on one player, rather than
but they can
building their organization. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I really think this is going to end up blowing up in their face.
See, I don't think so.
This is what they always do, though. They always go after these big bats, and it never works out.
You're saying Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton hasn't worked out there?
Well, Aaron Judge definitely did, but that was a homegrown talent.
That's true. I give you that.
And Stanton can't stay on the field.
You're right. Juan Soto isn't the greatest player. You're right. He had a great stretch with the Nationals. Padres kind of dipped a little bit. I think a change of scenery will help him out a lot. I still think he has a lot of potential. I'm trying to think of other outfield lineups in the MLB right now, and nothing comes off the top of my head, but this sounds like one of the best because they also got Alex Verdugo from the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. So you have Alex Verdugo, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. If Juan Soto even returns to form a little bit and Verdugo continues what he's been doing, that's a solid 3 outfield.
Oh, yeah. In terms of ability, it's easily the best outfield.
Yeah,
and
but is New York
play in the outfield?
Exactly. Yeah, but is it the fit? Yeah, I mean, can he live up to the hype of New York? Who knows?
That's the thing. Is you got the bright lights of the city, you got those New York pinstripes on you. Can you live up to it? There's a lot of history back there.
That's true. I don't know. I think it's an exciting trade for them. The Yankees have too much money to spend, and they're going to spend it. That's just what it comes down. Comes down to. I don't know why the MLB hasn't put a cap on team salary yet. It's because they want all the money they possibly can. Fair enough, I guess. It's just so unfair for the other teams.
It absolutely is.
But I digress. Want to go into mine, or you have
absolutely.
Nope. All right.
Nope. That was it.
All right. My final thoughts is kind of just a normal segment for us. We missed the last couple of weeks for predictions for college pick'ems, but I have the final numbers off of week 13 week 12 was our last week.
All right.
So Kratz was in the lead with a 36-25 record.
Love that.
Love that. I came in second with a 32-29.
Love that. We got positive.
Yeah, we're so far 2 for 2. We're positive. Nick coming in third, 24-22. He turned it around at the end. He got the 4-1 line up there. For a quick recap, this was back a few weeks. Me, Kratz, and Nick all got a 4-1 record, and then Josh had a nice 3-2 record, and he came in fourth with a 22-24 record. So he was almost
so
there.
Close.
He was a second half player. Maybe if we had those 2 weeks in there, he would have been above 500.
Who knows?
Overall, I think the 4 of us, we did a solid job. If someone out there was
positive,
if someone out there was picking every pick of me, Kratz, or Nick, they would have made money, right? Josh, not so much. But and if you were somehow to pick, the winners from both of us, then you're perfect.
Yeah, we had a good season. Good first season here. Picking our college teams. And let's keep in mind we're picking against the spread rather than
not just winners.
Who was going to win the game?
Yes.
We had a great season, guys. We did.
Yes, I'm not mad at it at all. I'm excited to go into. Well, first we got to do our college playoff predictions.
We do.
For over under all that stuff. We'll get an update on that probably next week, and then I'm excited for next season. I'm excited to see what happens, and hopefully we all improve our records.
Absolutely, I'm really looking forward to it. Another season of diving into the weeds of
college football,
all of those ranked games.
Kansas and Kansas State.
Kansas State. Both ranked at the time.
Jesus.
Oh, you gotta love it. All right.
Yes.
Well, if you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the podcast. Let us know what we're doing well, what we're not. We can take it, I promise, guys.
We promise you. And we're going to be covering NBA, hitting that heavy, hitting NFL heavy as well, of course, covering the college playoff championship semifinals, and then we'll get into MLB as spring season starts up 2024. Anything else? I think that's it.
Don't forget about that March Madness.
Oh, of course. Of course. Yes. And we will see you next week. Thank you for listening. Peace.
See ya.